It is a brand new month on the channel and our jam-packed Halloween month is technically over, but I suppose you can consider this an extension of it, as for the second week in a row, we're going to look at Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. That's because today we're going to look at the producer's cut instead of the theatrical release. So what's the big difference? Well, a lot. In fact, this was actually intended to be the original cut of the film. While it doesn't necessarily make Halloween 6 a good movie, it does make it an actual complete movie. In the theatrical version, the Man in Black storyline was completely butchered and basically casted aside by the end of the movie, while in this one, it's actually seen to its conclusion. So why wasn't this the version shown in theaters? Well, that's because test audiences did not like it, so they chose to do reshoots. That whole ending to the theatrical cut with them trying to inject Michael with syringes and stuff and fighting in that random room, that was all reshoots. None of that is in this cut. And despite this being the original cut, this was actually only released to the public in 2014. Now this review will be different from normal reviews because in normal reviews we go through the whole movie, but we already did that last week, so we're just going to skim most of it and I'll highlight the parts that were added in the producer's cut. To further clarify, I'm not going to go through every single new scene, just the ones I deem significant. There's a ton of scenes in this movie that have been extended, it's basically uncut, and also the film's been majorly rescored as well. The opening scene with Jamie giving birth is largely the same. After that, however, as the Man in Black is putting the mark on Steven, we get an entirely new scene. It shows the Man in Black cult abducting Michael and Jamie immediately after the events of Halloween 5. Jamie, of course, escapes from Michael and the cult with the help of that nurse, and we see that Danny is being stalked by the Man in Black. Should be noted that whenever Danny does something out of pocket in this version, it's very clearly shown the Man in Black is telling him to do that. There's some extra dialogue when Dr. Loomis meets up with Wynn as well, where Loomis talks about how he had plastic surgery to fix his face, and Wynn reveals that he's actually retiring from Smith's Grove and wants to bring Loomis back in as the new head. Still the same here, Jamie calls into that radio show, Dr. Loomis and Tommy hear her, and then she escapes again from Michael in that car until Michael runs her off the road. However, the scene in the barn here is completely different. Jamie is just sitting in the barn, and Michael walks up to her and stabs her in the stomach, but does not kill her. After the first scene with John at the old Myers house, there's a new scene with Loomis and Wynn, where Loomis asks for Wynn's help because he knows that Michael is back and alive. During the Strode family breakfast kerfluffle, the Man in Black actually tells Danny to kill John, and we see that Michael is right outside the house watching them. There's an extra scene with John after Kara leaves where he says that he doesn't even consider her his daughter anymore. Tommy goes and finds Steven, and then Wynn and Loomis go to the barn where they see Jamie still alive being loaded into an ambulance. Extended scene with Kara at college as well where she's looking at Danny's drawing and turns out Michael is stalking her there as well. Scenes with Loomis and Tommy in the hospital and also Loomis and Deborah in the Myers house are slightly extended to show that Jamie is still alive. Deborah calls John to say that she's leaving and then she's killed by Michael. Tommy meets Danny and then Kara comes home. Also, this was in the original cut too, but I forgot to mention it. As Kara is coming up the stairs, there is the Man in Black outfit right behind her. They all go to Tommy's place and then new scene with Jamie at the hospital where her eyelids are spasming. She has a dream which shows a flashback of her being tied to that slab by the Man in Black cult, the same one that Steven had the mark put on him on, and Michael was there too. The Man in Black then appears in her room and murders her by shooting her in the head with a silenced pistol. The scene with Tommy and Kara talking about the Thorn is extended as well, and it shows that Tommy actually has some physical wounds. John, of course, comes home and gets killed by Michael, but this scene is different. It's a little bit shorter, and his head doesn't explode, so I actually preferred the reshoot version here. Then everything is the same for a bit. Tim and Beth come home and get murdered by Michael, and then Danny goes over to the house and Kara has to come back and get him out, as Loomis and Tommy arrive and see that Steven is gone. Danny's then called over by the Man in Black, who's revealed to be Wynn. Kara goes upstairs and finds out Miss Blankenship is evil, and then she jumps out the window. So this final 10 minutes is really why I did this copy, because almost everything in the last 10 minutes of this film is completely different from the theatrical cut. So instead of waking up in a cell, Kara wakes up tied to that stone slab. After deducing that she's at Smith's Grove, Tommy and Loomis arrive there, and this scene's a little extended, with Tommy showing Loomis the physical runes he brought him with him, and he thinks that he can use them to reverse the power they have over Michael and stop him. As Loomis goes to talk to Wynn, Tommy is then shown to be following a cult member down the hallway, instead of just following a Scream like he was in the theatrical cut. And instead of just wanting to harness evil, Wynn tells Loomis that he's using Michael as a vessel to do the bidding of Thorn for sacrifices. He also tells Loomis that he will be the one to take over this burden before Loomis is knocked out. Tommy continues to follow that cult member into the room with the rock slab, where Kara is still tied to it. Also, Danny is there with the man in black, Steven is there too, and so is Michael, as well as a bunch of other cult members, including Miss Blankenship. Wynn says that Kara will be the sacrifice to Thorn and Danny will be the one to sacrifice her, while Steven will be Michael's final sacrifice. Having stolen a cult costume though, Tommy arrives and takes Wynn hostage while he frees the others. They escape down a hallway as Michael chases them until they come to a locked gate. Loomis shows up and opens the gate as Tommy begins to lay down his runes and cuts his hand. He performs a ritual as Michael goozles him, which stops Michael straight in his tracks, completely freezing him. And then Tommy goes outside and is like, hey, I was right, the runes worked. We then see Wynn finding the frozen Michael before Michael clenches his fist. Tommy, Kara, and Danny are now in the car begging Loomis to come with them, but he says, no, I got business here. And as they leave, this time, instead of just a shot of a mask and Loomis screaming, Loomis walks back into the sanitarium. He finds Michael laying on the ground seemingly dead, but when he takes the mask off, it's actually Wynn. Wynn exclaims that Michael is gone and then grabs Loomis's arm, transferring the Curse of Thorn into Loomis before dying. Loomis then screams, the same scream heard at the end of the theatrical cut, as Michael is shown having taken the Man in Black costume and making his escape to end the film. So like I said, it's still not great. The whole Thorn Man in Black storyline is still pretty stupid, but my god, at least this movie makes sense now. We're not going to change the big board, I'm going to continue to use the theatrical cut, but if I was to re-rank using this version, maybe I'd put this over 5? Maybe? I don't know. To be honest, it still might be last, but at least it's closer. I still don't like the whole story as a whole, because again, it doesn't really change the fact that the main message was still conveyed in the theatrical version. Michael's just a bitch, you know? He's just been controlled this whole time by some ancient rune bullshit instead of, you know, being his own killer and all that. So I still don't like that aspect, which is mainly why I don't like this storyline. The entire last 10 minutes, almost the entire last 10 minutes, was reshoots in the theatrical version. And everything makes sense now. Like, in the theatrical version, Wynn just disappeared, like, just because. It didn't even have a proper ending. And now we get everything wrapped up in a nice little bow. And even if it's not good, which it's not, in my opinion, I'm glad to see it finished. And if you are seeking out to watch Halloween 6 for whatever fucking reason, please watch this one, because it is actually a complete film, and you'll just have a much less confusing time. But I hope you enjoyed my second straight look back at Halloween 6. We'll be off next week, but the following week after, we will be looking at John Wick 4. When are we coming back to Halloween? Sometime in 2024 with Halloween H2O. That is it for me today, though. That's officially a bow on the first Halloween storyline. Officially a bow on Halloween 6. Thank God for that. I never thought I would watch this movie twice in a million years, but again, ultimately, it was worth it because I actually got to see the movie this time. I hope you guys enjoyed this second Halloween 6 look back, and thank you for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to leave it a like. If you didn't like it, don't. If you want to follow any of my social media links, they're all in the video description down below, as well as names of all my patrons. Thank you to my patrons for supporting me and my channels. I appreciate you guys. With all that being said, though, my name is Noah Taft. This has been my Halloween look back at Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, the producer's cut, the complete version, the actual fucking movie, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.